So basically today, the inspiration behind the stream was that my boy Greg and I, not Ancat, because, obviously we got to feed him some meat real quick, pause, have been eating red meat and the animal-based diet for most of this year. And we've been pretty happy with the results. So we're actually going to go over that. And then we've got Ancat, who's more of a guy that's on the normie side of diet, I suppose, like a little bit over there. I've kind of suggested some things he could be eating throughout the day that would actually make him better off than what he was eating before. Maybe I could ask you a little bit about how much you're sticking to that when we actually get into it. But I was thinking that Greg and I could actually go over how we got to this point in the first place, maybe for people that are vegan or, unfortunately, if you're watching the stream, vegetarian, or just pretty much normie processed food eaters. So me personally, I mean, I started around, I would say, like end of last year. I had before that gone on keto a couple times, like for a couple months, like not in a row, just 1 month here and then 1 month there. And I was pretty much like, okay, well, yeah, carbs are the problem. That's why I'm losing weight when I'm doing keto, and I'm actually finding myself better off. But at the end of last year, I was kind of like, well, what if I just cut out processed foods? Like I'll still eat, carbs, here and there, but what if I just cut out the really bad stuff? Like what if I don't eat oatmeal for breakfast? And what if I don't, because even then I was kind of more red pilled on oatmeal. I was like, well, this doesn't seem like it's probably the best breakfast to start out with. Like, I want more eggs. I knew I wanted more meat, even though I was probably eating more like chicken than beef. If anything, I was eating ground beef still. But I actually did find some better results cutting most of that out when that happened, like end of last year. And then after that, I was kind of like, well, what more could I be doing? Like I kind of wanted to learn some more about diet. And I remember Greg and I were in a server with this one guy, and we were asking him what he eats, and he was saying, oh, well, all I eat is like meat, eggs, and dairy. And we were like, bro, how are your arteries not blocked up? Like, how are you all right? And so with that, I was kind of like, okay, well, maybe there's something to look into here, because at the time I was still trying to eat more like beef, but I'd eat like broccoli with it, and I'd eat like certain vegetables and like nuts. Like after a workout, I'd eat some nuts, pause. And I was like, all right, so I'm getting protein from that. I'm getting minerals and all that, vitamins. But I looked into Saladino more because I had found his content, and he was talking about the animal-based diet, and he was saying, well, actually, and I found his bullshit list online. He has this like bullshit Paul Saladino MD list that I found, and he talks about how vegetables actually are a problem. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? He said they have defense chemicals in them. And at the time I was like, wait, what? And the explanation for it is, well, actually plants don't want to be eaten, at least not the ones that don't have like seeds in them, like fruits that you'll eat and then spread around, that actually do want to be eaten. But like most plants actually don't want to be eaten. And their only way of fighting back against predators is really just having chemicals in them that deter the predators from eating them. So I was like, okay, well, this actually does sort of make sense. So I started cutting out more vegetables out of my diet. I started cutting out like nuts. Like he has so many things on the list that are just things that you probably shouldn't be eating. And I was doing it little by little, really. But at some point in this year, I actually just started full on pretty much just eating meat, eggs, like mostly red meat, like a little bit of chicken, like fish, like maybe once a week, and like a lot of dairy, milk, yogurt, all that. And I just feel so much better because of it. And I mean, really, like a lot of the problems I've had like from processed foods have gone away. Like my skin's been a lot clearer. Muscle growth is actually a lot better because red meat has like creatine in it. It has other amino acids and vitamins in it that are just so much more bioavailable than vegetables and any other food really, that are actually preventing absorption of minerals. And yeah, so I mean, since then I've been pretty much at this point. I don't know if you want to take it over from there, Greg, because or actually before I mention anything else, or before I let you go on. I actually went to my doctor recently because I was wondering what my cholesterol numbers would be like, and I had this friend that was like, "Bro, like you're gonna die." Like it was my boy Christian, the one that was on the stream last time with Thomas Sheedy. He was in the background, and he was like, "Bro, you're gonna get your arteries clogged. Like, you got to get to your doctor. You need to have a test." And Paul actually Saladino says he has like high cholesterol when he actually goes to the doctor, but he's not afraid of that. Or when he gets blood work, I suppose that's what he does. I don't know that he actually goes to the doctor. He is one. But me personally, I did go to the doctor, and he said my cholesterol was fine. He's like, actually, these numbers are good. These are really good. And I'm eating saturated fat every day. So, but yeah, Greg, what's your take on this?
Uh, yeah. So I was kind of on the, I guess, normie kind of diet train. I figured, eat a lot of vegetables, eat a lot of nuts, pause, that kind of stuff. Limit red meat because it kills you and so on. Only use vegetable oils, and that's. But it wasn't really until I met, our mutual buddy, where he started saying all these things about, vegetables are actually really bad for you, except for a few of them. and the idea of eating only meat, dairy, and so on, that I started to look into it. And I still even really wasn't convinced up until another buddy of ours mentioned something about seed oils in particular. And from there, my buddy Ahmed, yours truly over here, he sent me a few videos from Paul Saladino, and slowly but surely I kind of started like binge watching a lot of his content, and I went through his bullshit list and I started seeing what he was saying and tried it just as kind of maybe there's something here, maybe there's not. If not, I'll try it out and see if anything happens. And over time, I did start like slowly feeling some differences in the way my body felt, and mental clarity and so on, and even going to the gym felt a bit easier just from cutting out certain things. And now I'm pretty much as my wallet and or circumstances allows me to, I'm on like what he calls the animal-based diet pretty much full time. And if I do eat vegetables or anything like that, it does actually noticeably impact me more than it usually does, since I'm on a diet that doesn't have them now. And then actually today, I mentioned this, I went to a restaurant that most definitely cooks in seed oils, and I had vegetables of it too. So my stomach, of course, was feeling pretty messed up. And then I got home and I made myself something high in protein, some eggs, high in dairy, some fruit, some honey. And now my stomach feels pretty fine. So, I mean, I know it's an anecdote, but I mean, if anything, it's just proving my point from my perspective.
Saturated fat as well, because I saw this post from Carnivore Aurelius on Twitter, and he was saying basically that there's this study he was posting that said when you go out drinking, basically, or if you're drinking alcohol in general, one thing that can actually protect you from a lot of the negative effects is saturated fat. And pretty much if you're eating that at that time, it actually, well, I don't know exactly how it works or what it's protecting there. I mean, I guess like the membranes of your cells, and I would assume there's just some sort of like helping in the gut. But basically, like, you don't have as many negative effects as opposed to if you were to drink and then eat seed oils when you're drinking, which a lot of people, they'll go out and they'll eat like, things just fried absolutely in seed oils when they're drinking. And that's a habit because when you're going out, you're going to a restaurant and that's pretty much what they serve. So obviously, like, it would kind of make sense that, especially here, because like there's so many foods fried in that. I don't know exactly what people are eating when they're in other countries, like when they're out drinking, like Europe. But at Carnivore Aurelius, I've seen some things where basically he's saying like, why is it that people over there can actually go a lot longer, like drinking and partying and all this, and not feel the same way that people are actually feeling here, and not be as obese and so on and so forth. And I mean, the common link seems to be like at least like the overconsumption of seed oils, which I mean, it's pretty easy to overconsume them because you really shouldn't be. But I mean, I don't necessarily know that they're eating too much saturated fat in Europe, but it kind of does make sense that this would be the case based on that.
To my knowledge, I believe like the northern portion of Europe, I mean, this is kind of like the stereotype. They use a lot of butter more than any other part of the world. And then like countries like Spain, Greece, southern France, Italy, they use a lot of olive oil. And while olive oil isn't a saturated fat, it's not high in polyunsaturated fats, which seed oils are. So
Right.
that might be an impact on there.